That's why snowflakes are not identical, because they're not made from a plan. They're made by chaos. And so von Neumann just realized what's true in biology already, is you have to have a code in order to have reproduction. And any such cell would have to have both cell functions and a code that symbolizes them at the same time in order to reproduce. Codes are symbolic and arbitrary, like I said, not derivable from the laws of physics. So nothing in the purely physical world that anybody knows of creates plans, instructions, codes, or symbols. Norbert Wiener was an MIT mathematician. He was one of Claude Shannon's contemporaries. He wrote a number of books on cybernetics. He's got a book called Cybernetics, very interesting book. He said a very interesting thing. Information is information. It is not matter or energy, and no materialism which does not admit this can survive at the present day. Now let's just stop and think about what he is saying. He is saying that there are not two entities in the universe, matter and energy, there's three. There's matter, energy, and information, and you can't derive information from matter and energy. Information always comes from intelligence. There's no known exceptions to this. Okay? And so what he's saying is a materialistic view of the universe cannot survive what we know about information. Now, he said this in probably 1950, something like that, 1960. Now, back then, people were not swimming in a world of messages flying all over the place, but we do now. Okay? Every single file format on your computer, DLL, XLS, DOC, HTML, PHP, ASP, every single file format on your computer follows an arbitrary convention that cannot be derived from the laws of physics and is immaterial. It's not matter, it's not energy. It's stored and transmitted in matter and energy, but it's neither, and you can't derive any of those things just from the laws of physics. This takes materialism as a philosophy out. The existence of information is a complete affront to materialistic philosophy. So I have this proof of an intelligent designer. This is not a deductive proof. This is an inductive inference. Okay? I have to qualify the word proof. It's proof to the extent that science can prove anything. Number one, DNA is a code. Number two, all codes we know the origin of are designed. Therefore, DNA is designed. We have 100% inference that DNA is designed and 0% inference that it is not. Now, what can science prove? Science can only make probabilistic statements. I drop a weight from the balcony and it falls at 9.8 meters per second squared, and I do it over and over and over and over and over again, and I come to the conclusion there's a gravitational constant, 9.8 meters per second squared, and if I do it again, I'm going to get the same result again. Can you prove deductively that you will get the same result again? No, you cannot. Okay? You cannot deductively prove that the sun is going to come up tomorrow. But you can inductively infer with 100% accuracy that gravity is a constant and the thing's going to fall at 9.8 meters per second squared. You can deduct with 100% accuracy that heat, when you put your toast in the toaster and you toast it and put it on the counter, you can infer with 100% success that the toast is going to get colder, not hotter. That's the laws of thermodynamics. By the exact same reasoning, I can prove that life is designed. Now, I have been debating this for 3 years, and nobody has found a hole to punch in this. I've been on the Infidels web forum, which is the biggest atheist website in the world, for a year and a half, and the moderator of the Infidels forum has been trying to tell me that DNA is not really a code, that they didn't mean for me to take those biology books literally. You can go read it. Go to cosmicfingerprints.com/infidels. You'll see a link, and you can read 600 posts and listen to a bunch of atheists try to tell you that DNA is not a code. Okay, but if we can trust our science books, if we can trust induction, we know by inference that life was designed. So where did the information in DNA come from? You got 5 possibilities. 1, it was designed by humans. Since all the other codes we know of were designed by humans, that it was designed by humans. Does anybody believe that DNA was designed by humans? Designed by aliens. Now, that is philosophically, that is a perfectly legitimate option. Does it answer any questions, though? No, it just moves the question back further. It doesn't answer anything, really. It's a product of chance. Now, if you look up the word science in a dictionary, it says science is something like, science is the systematic exploration and discovery of laws. Okay? It's systematic experiment. You know, I do an experiment, I get a result. I do an experiment, I get a result. And I presume underlying order in order to have a repeatable pattern. Science, by definition, has to be systematic. This explanation, by definition, is an anti-scientific explanation. Oh, it just happened. Oh, really? Well, how are you going to reproduce that? Oh, well, unfortunately, you can't. Okay, so we just stop and say chance did it? Is that what we do? We just throw up our hands and say, oh, it just happened by accident. I mean, I don't see how that furthers scientific inquiry. Number 4, undiscovered law of physics. That's a perfectly legitimate position to take. Now, how would you discover such a law of physics? Well, first you would have to discover a naturally occurring code, and then you could formulate a hypothesis about how that natural process proceeded, and you could observe that natural process and formulate a law of physics. Totally legitimate. But first you have to have a naturally occurring code. I don't know of one. Nobody in 3 years that I've been giving these presentations has ever been able to think of one. Well, what? Stars are codes? No, they're not. They don't symbolically represent anything but themselves. Gravity's a code? No, gravity is not a code. By any communication engineer's definition of code, gravity is not a code. Snowflakes are codes? No. Snowflakes do not symbolically represent anything other than themselves. 5, designed by God. Now, I think in this particular instance, one has to use the word God somewhat liberally. Maybe another word would be an intelligence with a capital I. I mean, you know, and as far as we've gone this far, it could be, you know, Shiva or Buddha or whatever. Okay, I mean, we haven't got that far, and that's like a whole nother conversation that we don't have time for today. But you come to an inevitable conclusion. You got option 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Really, the only one that fits the data that we have is an intelligence that precedes and is outside of pure matter and energy. So this leads me to formulate what I affectionately call the atheist riddle. Show me a message that doesn't come from a mind. Just one. Is my theory falsifiable? Yes. Just show me a message that doesn't come from a mind. So simple, any child can understand. So complex, no atheist can solve.